Hi, everybody, it's Weird Wink Wilkinson laughing and scratching at you. How's everybody doing today? I got a little bit of a stiff neck. Let me just fix this up. Oh, that feels a lot better. Well, I got a great show for you today with some wonderful weird stuff. I feel so very weird.
There are some things in this world that go way beyond human understanding. Things that cannot be explained, things that most people don't want to know about. That is where we come in.
No human being would stack books like this.
I have come here to chew bubblegum and kick ass. I'm all out of bubblegum.
Well, it looks like you're the one who needs to be taught a lesson, pal. Class is paying 101. The instructor's Casey Jones.
Look, I don't want to fight you.
Well, tough rocks, pal.
Do you want some coffee, Mr. Tully?
Do I?
Yes, have some.
Yes, have some.
It's a cup of coffee in the big time, yeah. Cup of coffee in the big time.
Hey, what do you say we both be independent together, huh?
I guess one person can make a difference. Enough said.
We have the tools, we have talent.
It's Miller time.
Luminous being so be, not this fruit matter.
Empty your mind. Be formless, shapeless, like water. Now you put water into a cup, it becomes the cup. You put water into a bottle, it becomes the bottle. You put it in a teapot, it becomes the teapot. Now water can flow, or it can crash. Be water, my friend.
You, me, or nobody is gonna hit as hard as life. But it ain't about how hard you hit. It's about how hard you can get hit and keep moving forward. How much you can take and keep moving forward. That's how winning is done.
Hey, these aren't my rules. Come to think of it, I don't have any rules.
Well, that's great. Either I have a monster in my kitchen or I'm completely crazy.
I don't think you're crazy.
You know something? Maybe I am insane. Maybe I am insane.
Pizza dude's got 30 seconds.
Rise to the top, oh yeah.
That's the nicest thing a dog can say about anybody.
Human sacrifice, dogs and cats living together, mass hysteria.
Enough, I get the point.
You know what you need? You need a Brazilian plastic surgeon.
I've got one that can see.
Sometimes happens, someone has to deal with it, and who are you gonna call?
It's showtime.
All right. Hello out there. Welcome to Comic Book Radio, episode 305. I'm your host, Peter Cimetti, and I really apologize for being so late. Man, I had some problems getting into the show. I've never had this happen before since I've been using Restream. Tried for like 20 minutes, kept getting the freezing, circle thing, whatever, and sometimes it looks like I'd be getting in there, and then other times it would just pop me back out. So here I am. But yeah, I apologize for being late, and thank you guys so much for being patient and sticking around, especially to our guest tonight, FREDERIC Guimont. That is what he informed me how to pronounce his name. The other night I pronounced it unfortunately, so I'm not going to repeat that. But I learned how to pronounce it before we got started, so there we are. Before we do get started, let me just say hello to you guys who've been so patient. I noticed on the YouTube chat, there's all kinds of comments and stuff, but I honestly can't see the ones that happen before the show starts. How weird is that, right? So this is all I have right here is just Frederic's comment here with the Rocky emoji. And we got Darker Half here. How's it going, Darker Half? We got Randy Scribner here. What's up? Tank Ferret's in the chat. What's up, Tank Ferret? Matt LaRock is here too. How's it going, Matt? Tank Ferret became a member of the Comic Book Lounge. Oh, thank you, Tank Ferret. Appreciate that. Anybody else wants to do that? It's 99 cents a month. And I would tempt fate tonight and try to access the YouTube so I could gift everybody a membership. But I think I'm doing, pulling one too many favors in that respect, given that I had so much trouble getting into the show. I don't want to tempt fate. So next time we do a live show, I'll do the membership gifting. Corey Landis, what's up, Corey? Hope you're doing good. We got Katie Did here. How's it going, Katie Did? Bronze Age Caveman, what's up, Bronze Age? And that's about it, I guess. All right, so before I bring on Frederick, I want to show you guys 3 things that arrived today. As I said, I would once they did arrive. They got here a day early. I thought they'd get here Friday. And instead, they got here today. So we got the Hall of Fame books have arrived with this nice foil finish. Look at that. We got Mr. Crypt, #1, Hall of Fame 2025. Oh, it's nice and shiny. Unit 44, #1, the Hall of Fame edition. And the chair, #1, Hall of Fame edition. These are going to start shipping out tomorrow. Very, very limited amount of these. I think less than 20 of these of each. So if you did purchase one, congrats. It's coming to you. We don't go back to printing or whatever with those ever again. So if you missed out, you missed out. I don't think we're really going to have any extras. Maybe one, but probably not. And for everyone that did get one, congrats. And again, thanks. Let's see. We got a bunch of people received memberships courtesy of Spicer McLeroy. What's up, Spicer? Thank you for doing that. Gifted 10 memberships. And how's it going, Bretsky? What's up? And let's see, we got, it actually tells me, this is the first time I ever seen this. It's actually telling me in the Restream. StreamYard would never tell me. And up until today, Restream would never tell me. Maybe Restream did some new stuff or something. Maybe that's why they had problems getting me into the show today. So it looks like What Geeks Do, Critical Reads, Matthew Hunter, Bretsky, Jake Blues. Man, Robert, you got one too. Michael Rushbrook, Creative Welshman. And Paul and Spaceman, you guys got a membership. There you go. Courtesy of Spicer. Thank you. And thanks, Matt. Yeah, I think they came out pretty cool. I really dig them. So again, if you did order a Hall of Fame comic from 2025, those are shipping out starting tomorrow. And it'll probably ship out for the remainder of next week and so on. Let's see here. Comics for Life. What's up, Comics for Life? Good to see you here. All right. So without further ado, which there has been a lot of for many different reasons, let me bring on the guest of the night, the man of the hour here, Mr. Frederic Guimont. What's up, Frederic?
How you doing, man? Been watching the show a long time and I was this close to getting on one of your call-in shows, but never had the setup ready in time. So I'm happy to be here finally.
Yeah, good to have you. You reached out when I had called for guests to give me, kind of their story if they wanted to be on the show and see what's what. And you had a pretty interesting story. I can't even begin to kind of retell it. So I'm glad you're here to do it for me.
I was gonna be a famous comic book artist, but then life hit me in the lifers, in the balls, and then I had a side quest. But it's matter for story. It's matter for experience. If I'd gotten in my 20s, I would have nothing to write about. And now I find that I've lived a lot of things that are interesting and worthy to talk about. So hopefully that'll make for good stories. And if I could just say hello to Katie. She helped me kick off the crowdfund for my current comic book crowdfunding. And she doesn't get enough love out there. She helps a lot of people starting out. So thank you very much, Katie.
What are you currently crowdfunding?
So Rattel Comic #1. So it's a comic book I started kind of a couple of years ago. So took my time to write the story and then been drawing it for the past year. Now everything's drawn and it's in the hands of the colorist. And then I'm waiting on his stuff and I'm kind of crowdfunding it. And I'm doing something a bit different than most crowdfunders because I've got something on fund my comic like a lot of people do, but I'm also crowdfunding in Bitcoin on something called Geyser.fund. So I've raised about $630, 640 in Bitcoin, which is kind of doing things differently because the theme of the comic kind of centers around that. The main hero kind of is into that space, and I thought it was thematically worthy to try that out. Plus, I've been going to a lot of Bitcoin events, and I have a lot of people who were interested in supporting the comic in Bitcoin as well. So I figured that was, a worthy thing to try out as an experiment.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, full disclosure, all of that stuff goes completely over my head, and that's the biggest reason I'm having you on tonight.
That's good. Well, I won't go into anything too technical, but hopefully I can answer some questions.
I mean, get as technical as you want, because I just can't seem to wrap my head around any of that stuff.
Yeah.
It's crazy to me.
Yeah.
Okay, so when you had approached me, you had explained like kind of the gist of what you've been through in your life, relatively speaking, both comic related and otherwise. Where would you like to start?
Maybe at the beginning, I guess. When I was in my early 20s, I was ready to start making comics, right? I had applied to the Joe Kubert School of Cartoon and Graphic Arts. I got a response. I was accepted. They said I was one of the top 3 students awaited that year. So I was ready to rock. But living in Canada, going into the United States as a foreign student, I was not set up to do that. My parents did not have any money set aside for school because everyone goes to public school here. It wasn't a thing. My parents didn't even finish high school, so it was totally foreign thing for them as well.
What part of Canada?
I'm in Quebec, so Quebec,
Okay.
kind of like New York, but as the French part of Quebec. So we're the only ones that don't say "a."
You're in Quebec City?
That's right. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Wow, man.
Capital of Quebec.
Yeah, you guys used to have the Nordique.
We
they turned
did.
to the Avalanche, and then
That's
they won
right.
cups.
Yeah, exactly.
That sucks.
We got,
but you know what? They probably never would have traded Patrick Waugh to Quebec because it was in Montreal. They probably wanted to ship him out.
Yeah, Montreal is the best team anyway. The Habs, they're the ones that have been winning a lot more.
Hockey talk, ladies and gentlemen, for those of you that I don't get to have it too much.
Yeah, I played hockey when I was a kid. My parents sent me to hockey classes, skating classes, and all that. I didn't take to it as much as I did drawing. Drawing was really my passion. As soon as I saw my mom draw on a notepad, saw the lines turn into a shape, and for me it was something absolutely magical, and I never stopped being obsessed with that, and that's been
great.
That's been my passion ever since, and I'm still drawing today and still loving it.
Sidebar, going back to hockey for a second, are you following any teams, any players right now?
No, I've never been my dad's been the hockey fan in the house, so I've never been a big follower of hockey. I bought hockey cards and everything like most kids do, but I stopped following it a long time ago, and I'm not much of a sports fanatic anymore.
Oh man, just my luck. I get a Canadian on, and we can't have a nice in-depth hockey conversation.
Yeah, sorry to disappoint.
Oh well. No disappointment, just ironic.
Yeah.
I'm up here in New Hampshire, so the Bruins are my team.
Oh yeah, the Bruins.
Yeah. And they had a rough go of it last year. Pretty rough season.
I mean, they made it to the finals a lot of times. Didn't they win a bunch of cups?
One.
Oh,
they won. They won 2 a while back. Bobby Orr era in the 70s. But they won 1 in 2011. And then they went to the finals twice since that point, and lost 1 in Game 7 and 1 in Game 6. But last year was rough. That was a rough year. That was a bad year. They were I think the 5th worst team in the league, and we'll see if they fare any better this year.
Yeah, I mean, one thing that kind of turned me off to sports like that was seeing how many players were not even from the city they were playing in. They're coming in from foreign towns and cities and from all over the place.
Oh yeah. You got to go old school decades ago to see, But in the Bruins, it's funny because their star players are not of the area, but they do try to get a lot of players that are in the area, usually trying to develop them as talent. And ironically, they never really developed that well.
I think I would have followed it more if it was more of a local thing, if I knew the players were born here, were living here, and
Yeah, yeah. Well, it's tough. I mean, Montreal was kind of known for that for a while, their team,
Yeah.
for keeping players in that area, especially speaking French and everything. A lot of the time, if you didn't have a French speaking coach, a French speaking captain, I mean, that kind of was a rarity to even occur with Montreal.
Yeah. But Montreal goes crazy. Like whenever they lose or win, or even when they win, like they go bonkers in the city. Like they have riots in the streets
Oh
after
yeah,
some matches. It's people take that to heart, take it seriously.
serious stuff.
Mhm.
It's like what happens here in the comic dome. You know,
Yeah,
Ev-
people take that too seriously as well
yeah.
sometimes. Yeah,
We all have our dumb things we take way too seriously.
yeah. Luckily, there's no riots in the streets for comics yet.
Not yet.
You know,
Not yet.
not yet.
Almost.
I mean, we might see more passion in the industry if it went down to that. But
Yeah, with comics, it's more like riots in the virtual streets.
yeah, riots on Twitter and YouTube.
Typing very forcefully into the phone or on the keyboard.
All caps, yeah.
I mean, like, I told that guy. He's probably on the toilet right now, but I told him.
Oh man, yeah. It's easy to take things personally when people are typing on the internet. It's like,
oh yeah, yeah.
You don't get the tone, you don't get if there's any hint of sarcasm or playfulness or anything like that.
And a lot of people are just in a bad mood on there. I find like they kind of go there to vent. It's like a venting space, and a lot of us that are on there to try to put something positive or fun or whatever on there, sometimes you encounter that person who's just on there to shit post or stir things up.
Yeah, I mean,
it
reminds me of those videos where the dogs are barking at each other across the fence, right? And they're barking loudly and violently and viciously. And as soon as the owner opens the fence door, they're all like going quiet. And you turn around and they're all nice to each other. It's like,
yeah, it's odd. But let's get back before I so rudely interrupted you and sent this conversation careening off the rails.
Yeah.
So you're in Canada. You're a struggling artist, more or less, because you've been put in a predicament where even though you got into the Kubert School, you couldn't really attend.
Right, exactly. So instead, I tried to go directly for a job. I figured, okay, if I'm highly anticipated, maybe I can bypass the school and try to get a gig directly. And I kind of went overboard and put in 10 to 12 hours drawing every day, inking every day. And I took a lot of what I was reading in Wizard magazine to heart and seeing the production, trying to get to one page a day before it was time. And I kind of pushed myself too hard and got a tendonitis in the hand. And I'm gonna.
Oh man, jeez, you're getting sports related injuries.
Well, you're gonna laugh
making comics.
You're gonna laugh at this because I'm gonna bring it back to hockey in a bit. And I went to a physiotherapist to see, like, okay, let me try to fix this, address this, right? And I don't know where she got her training, but she said, yeah, have you tried like drinking beer to relax? And I was like, well, I'm drawing 10 hours a day. Like I can't be drinking beers 10 hours a day. I mean, this is starting off, like my career hasn't even started yet. And
that's terrific advice.
I went shopping around for doctors, and I got to the doctor who was the doctor for the Nordiques back in the day. That's how far back I got.
Wow.
To. So I even went to see him, and he gave me a shot of cortisone and gave me a little bit of advice, trying to go hot and cold. Put your hands in the ice bath, and so I got a few techniques. But it's like, you got to give it time. You can't be forcing this. And I was wanting to, my mom was kind of getting impatient with me. I was like nearing the 20 years old, and she was like, okay, you got to go look for a job. And I was trying to get into the industry, whereas she wanted me to go like work at the, corner store or something like that. So I felt a lot of pressure and put too much on myself, and then eventually got out of the house and had to put comics aside for a while because I was physically like the more I tried to draw, the more it hurt, and I was just physically was injured. So I had pushed myself too hard, and I had to take a break and take, you know. And I eventually got a gig working comics for an independent, comic book creator who's actually had a movie script, and he was trying to do the same thing as they did with the movie The Crow. So that was originally a comic book. So it was like, okay, if I take my movie script and make it into a comic, and I had gotten the gig by building a website online and trying to promote my samples and all that. So I did do a little bit of comic book for a while. I was a little bit too slow. I had problems, being on time and getting the same professional kind of speed and all that. And then I tried to do a personal project after that, but that didn't pay. But
around what time frame is this? What year?
Okay, so this is 2003. I was working. I worked on Candy Apple Black, which the person who was behind that built a company called the Good Intentions Paving Company, and
that sounds like a shell company for supervillains.
It could be. I mean, there's no trace of it anymore. Like it kind of disappeared for a while. I was like, did I dream this? The website was gone. I could only find like a broken down version on what do you call it? The old Internet Archive pages.
Wow.
But it couldn't load because it had some funky code on it. So it was like there was no trace of it. But I was not crazy. I found copies of the book on eBay were still selling. So you can find Candy Apple Black volumes 1 to 3 is like my first paid work. And so that's how I got started. And then I was like, that didn't work out. So I was like, I'm going to try to do my own thing and see if I can get something independent up and running. And 2004, I was like reading up on George Orwell's 1984, and that was going to go into the public domain in 2004. So I started adapting chapters of that book. I did a Big Brother is Watching You poster, and my girlfriend's brother saw that and he was like, yeah, you should send that off to this hacker group in New York. And I was like, yeah, I've been listening to their podcast. Let me send that copy of the poster out to them. That's how I got involved with doing visuals for hacker conferences for a while.
What do you mean hacker?
So a lot of times when people hear the phrase hacker, they think like computer criminal, right? Like somebody who's going to break into your computer and steal stuff.
Yeah.
The term hacker actually originates from writers, like writers hacking away at the keyboard. So people who would type a lot. And that's what the first computer developers used to call themselves, as hackers. They would just develop software. Back at the MIT, they'd call themselves hackers. People who just, who were into model trains were the first people who got access to the teletype machines, the first computers that were working with punch cards, right? So that's where the term hacker comes from. It's people who were developing computer software in the early days, and that's the definition of the term that people who call themselves hackers apply it to. So usually you'll see a lot of activists, or they call themselves hacktivists, people who are pro-privacy, who are pro-rights online and things like that. And so they make...
I thought those were called slacktivists.
Could be. I knew them under that. So I got, I met people from the 2600 group in New York and had my visuals in their conference in 2005 and been doing visuals for them for a few conferences since then. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a crazy world. So was it as simple as how you're describing it, or was it a more nebulous than that?
I mean, there's always...
Because it seems like there's a little bit, at least, of, or maybe there isn't, but to me, it sounds like there would be some kind of level of secrecy of like, you got to know somebody who knows somebody.
Not in that sense, because their conferences are in hotels. They're like public.
Okay.
So, but there are people as well who protect their privacy. Like a lot of them have aliases. A lot of them will protect their identity. A lot of them don't want to be photographed in those events and things like that. Because a lot of people, there was people who were developing like messaging software with with cryptography back in the day, and there was one working from Toronto who was coming down to the conference, and he got held up at the border because they didn't want him crossing the border, and he was working on a CryptoCat was the software back in the day. It was just a messaging service that would protect your messages. And the government, there was a big fight back then. The government wanted to make sure people could not send messages that were encrypted. They wanted to be able to read everything. So that was like, there was a lot of fights happening in the digital realm, and those were the like key points of the conferences. Those were the main topics. People were debating those things back in the day. And those were the type of things that hackers and hacktivists were worried about and talking about.
Yeah, that's kind of more along the lines of what I would imagine it would sort of be like.
Yeah.
Because especially so much of the stuff, especially cryptocurrency stuff like that, is so all about privacy and encryption and everything along those lines. So I would think that mindset that they're executing with that would then fall over into anything along the lines of what you were getting into. So it wouldn't be just that, they put out a call for whatever and go, yeah, come down to so-and-so and, you will hire you. I would think it would be a little bit more on the down low than that.
No, I mean, they had an open call for papers. So if you had any interesting idea, like they'd have weird things. Like sometimes it was just people because hacking is basically doing something you're not supposed to with whatever piece of technology. So there was a guy who brought in a microwave at one point, had drilled like a tiny little hole on the side, and was starting the microwave on one end of the room and like holding up a neon light and lighting the neon from the microwave, like at a distance, showing you like the things you could do with technology.
So he created like a microwave gun.
He's, something
so
that's like
that's like a military level.
Aren't
they? Wasn't that in Batman Begins?
That was before.
This is a supervillain conference.
Yeah.
But it's stuff like that. That's what I'm talking about, where they all are doing something that's a bit,
playful types, shady types as well. Not gonna lie, but interesting.
No judgment for the most part on my part.
Yeah.
But that's what comes to mind with. It's not just the cyber hacking into whatever, but also modding and hacking technology.
Yeah,
and,
a lot
and
of
kind
modding.
of see what you could do with it.
Absolutely, definitely. That's the main idea, main gist of it.
So you were designing art and characters or whatever?
Yeah. So the first year that I was that I went there, I had my Big Brothers Watching You posters because I was telling you I was like working on a comic book adaptation of 1984. So I'd made these Big Brothers Watching You posters and sent it to them, and they were like, "Well, can we use that visual as the theme of the conference?" And I was like, "Sure." And I drew like an original kind of Big Brother image, and a lot of versions had been done to that point, but like I kind of put like a Hitlerian mustache on mine because I was like, all the Stalin mustache had been done, the different types of mustache. So I'm like, all right, let's go for the Hitlerian. That one's never been done. And so went to New York, they had made these giant flags of my illustration and behind the podiums. And so you had these Hitlerian Big Brothers Watching You posters. It looked like a Nazi rally. I'm not going to lie, but these were freedom loving people. It's not Nazis. It was done ironically, but still the visual was very striking,
Yeah, I can imagine.
Yeah. I still have one of those big red flags now. And as a memorabilia, I think they made 5 of them or something.
Wow. Jeez. Well, so you said this is like what, 2007? 2005.
Yeah.
Okay. Was there anything other than 1984 going to be like a public domain thing? Was there anything other than that was drawing you towards that? Was there something going on in the world, something going on in your life?
Yeah, I mean, things that were happening in the world were like getting a lot of my attention. Like things were like paying attention to the news, to where the government was going, even back then. Especially like this was after 2001, the World Trade Center event, and things like took a very fast turn to invading people's rights with the Patriot Act and things like that, and things were just fast tracked into digital ID type events, and we're still talking about that today here in Canada.
Oh, here
Luckily,
too. Yeah.
luckily a lot of those things were pushed back in the day. We won a lot of battles with cryptography as well, but it seems that it's just being pushed back, and they're still trying to pass those through. And that I just could not help myself but trying to keep up with what was happening with that. And that was creating a lot of anxiety as well, like trying to stay up because you don't feel like you can do anything. I'm trying to find ways. Maybe I can use the comic book to, wake people up or just sensitize people to these topics, because a lot of people were not listening to it. We're not interested about it, or it's too much for people. People feel disempowered. They feel like they're just not aware of it as well. It's like, and so it feels like it's something dangerous and impending, and you feel powerless to do anything about it at the same time. So a lot of it was kind of preoccupying my thoughts a lot of times. So I got kind of involved in that space and tried to stay up to date on what was happening with the news and all that. And that was a lot of stress, a lot of drain on the mental aspects as well. And I still like to keep up with what's happening today, but it's overwhelming. It's
oh yeah, we're inundated with it.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Especially there's a real creepy marriage of corporation and government. People that usually keep screaming about fascist this, fascist that, usually tend to actually support the idea of fascism more than they realize.
Yeah. That's double think right there. That's why I was attracted by Orwell's work, because reading about it kind of like shook me a little bit, because we see a lot of those elements happening more and more in our lives, like the newspeak, the reduction of the language, the 2 minutes of hate, like being driven to very emotional states instead of rational thinking, instead of rational conversations. We're just quickly pushed to tribal, emotional debates and just yelling at each other through emotional discourse instead of debating and kind of like learning from each other, and kind of like growing and building bridges. We're kind of like splitting into camps. Social media is kind of like creating a divide. Like I saw a graph of, women on social media were getting more and more liberal while the men were kind of growing more and more conservative. It's like there's a divide because they're feeding you a feed that's curtailed to you, right? It's like there's an algorithm that's
well that's Big Brother right there, embodied in that algorithm. That's why as much as people kind of downplay the usage of AI and whatever, the superficial uses of stuff like AI doesn't really bother me. We've kind of had that for a while now, but it's more like that stuff that's a few layers deep. That's the part of AI that I don't like. I don't like that kind of everything distills to one source point that's then approved of by somebody. I'd almost trust the AI more if it was sentient completely, because then it could at least make a decision based on its own, validity of the evidence that it's found, and say, okay, well, that's what this is. But instead it's like, no, it's spitting out something to you that it's pretty much told to do.
Yeah, and it'll change its opinion depending on how you respond to it. Like, it'll say, "Oh no, yeah, I agree with you. Here's the new version of my answer," which is like the opposite of what it said in the first place, because it kind of feeds you what you want to hear.
Yeah.
And the most ironic thing with AI is people have been getting their accounts canceled on Twitter lately. I have 3 people that I saw that got their accounts canceled out of nowhere for inauthentic behavior, which seems to have been like detected by AI. So AI is now deciding who's authentic or not, right? It's like,
the robot is now deciding who's human and who isn't. It's the Turing test gone mad.
It's like Blade Runner in reverse.
Yeah.
What is going on here?
It really is. It's every time that happens, even when I sign into a site or something and they do that test, to prove that I'm human. want to be like, there's a friggin' robot telling me, prove you're human.
Yeah.
It's we've taken things a step too far. Like I've had problems with various like customer service type stuff, especially when it involves a bank or a credit card or whatever. And more times than not, lately in the past 2 or 3 years, they'll say things like, "Yeah, I see that you're correct. That's a problem. Shouldn't have done that." But that's the system, and we can't override it. I was thinking, like, what?
Yeah.
What are we doing?
Yeah.
You can't override the computer, the tech, the AI, all that's supposed to be a tool.
Yeah.
It's not supposed to be a command and a prompt to us. We're supposed to be commanding and prompting it. And all I could think is in like a generation's time or less. It's I don't even think it's like a black pilled sort of thing to say or anything like that to suggest that it's kind of going somewhere a little too fast. And we're quickly like surrendering whatever to the all-knowing, all-powerful AI.
Right. And that's
it's
been around
odd.
for ever since they brought in computers. Like you used to be able to negotiate with your bank or with any corporation. Like, well, can you talk to the manager? Can we make something happen? Now they just say, well, the computer software is this is the way it's set up. I'm sorry, I can't do anything. And you're like,
Yeah.
you're left to shrug. And we're like, okay, there's no talking to the manager. There's no compromise. There's no negotiation. So now we're submitting to the basic functionalities of a computer.
Yeah, yeah. And as far as algorithms and stuff like that goes, I mean, you might not see so many outright cancellations or suspensions, but you'll definitely see more suppressed speech, of just the algorithm shifting and going, yeah, we don't want people to really see this sort of thing.
Yeah, yeah.
You know,
The shadow banning is the worst because you're not like overly censored, outwardly censored. You're just like people will just won't see you, and you don't even know people are not seeing you. You just think people are not liking your post, that you're not popular, or
yeah,
people are not reacting to it. You have no idea that you've been suppressed, unless you have another site that's called like myshadowban.com or something like that. You know?
yeah, yeah. It's very strange, and if it goes to its logical extent, it really is a dystopian nightmare.
Yeah.
And I don't think like sci-fi has provided us with enough warning signs, but sci-fi never gets everything right. And I think certain people go, well, this isn't playing out exactly like 1984. This isn't playing out exactly like uh, any of the Philip K. Dick novels I've read. So I guess it's not so bad. I guess this can't possibly be the thing because it doesn't look entirely nightmarish.
Yeah. And, I don't want to sound black pilled because I'm really not black pilled at all. And that's what I love about the hacker mentalities. Hackers go in and they're like, okay, well, the computer doesn't want me. Oh, well, maybe I could talk to the computer,
Yeah,
maybe the
yeah.
computer and I can work something out. And that's kind of the way the attitude of hackers have had in the past. Like I remember when I went to that conference in 2005, you'd go there'd be a dedicated elevator to go to the floor with the conference, and they'd play CNN on every elevator, right? And you'd get the most drab, dire news as you're going up. And then somebody went in and changed the channel to Looney Tunes. So the rest of the weekend, you'd have Bugs Bunny and,
That's great.
So that's the hacker spirit. That's the hacker ethos. It's to bring back fun, to bring back playfulness, and to say, okay, you're throwing us this wrench in the machine. We're going to play around when we're going to see what we can do with it, because we got tools of our own, we got machines of our own, and we can do things differently as well.
Yeah, that's the funny part is that I think we do have more people along the lines of that mentality with this kind of thing. So it seems like the powers that be work really, really hard. I mean, remember the early days of social media where it really was different than it is now. It wasn't so much the feed full of vitriol and tribalism and all this kind of stuff. It was just like a big weird fun bar where you would just discover people sharing stuff they liked.
Yeah.
maybe the most annoying thing was a selfie or the picture of their food, you know, and that was about it. Maybe someone was like a little too into themselves, and that was kind of it.
Yeah.
But now it's really, and you don't even, the worst part, you don't even know sometime, are you talking, are you arguing with a real person, or is this a bot? So there's all this kind of stuff that's been thrown into the mix, but that's the thing, is it is a tool, and the people out there that do have that mentality, like who you're talking about, that they can kind of see a little bit past that and recognize that it's not necessarily the machine's fault. The machine is being directed to do this. What if I can direct it to do something else?
Exactly. Yeah, it's to take back the power instead of submitting and acquiescing to the disempowerment that the machine is kind of like bringing. It's to have a different attitude and to say, okay, well, what can the machine do that people don't know about? Maybe I can find something, find a function that people don't know about, and that'll help me and bring something fruitful to the situation.
Yeah. So around the time of all of this going on, how does that transition from you into the next phase of your life?
So I was working on the 1984 comic book. I was with a group of like Linux hackers living in a kind of apartment complex where all the Linux meetups in Montreal were happening and things like that. And I even got on Boing Boing one night. I was like, oh, well, let me submit my 1984 comic project to Boing Boing, and then I'm going to go to sleep. And when I woke up, everyone was kind of panicking in the house because the whole company, the internet service provider, which was run from our apartment complex, had crashed because Boing Boing had what was his name? Sorry, I'm blanking on the name, but one of the lead publishers on that blog, he had accepted my proposal, published something about my comic, linked to my website, and my website was not set up in a way to cache the files. So every request on the page had to be compiled on the server, which I got so many requests that day.
Wow, so it crashed the server.
Yeah, Boing Boing was like one of the biggest sites in the day back then. And so it totally crashed the whole service provider. And everyone was kind of panicking, and they're like, your site crashed everything. And I was like, really? And I had like $2,000 worth of orders before like 8 or 10 o'clock in the morning, and then nothing else because the site has crashed. So I would have made like way more money on orders if the site had been configured properly. So things were kind of like developing in that way. I thought it was going to go well for a while, but then I was not able, like, it's something that takes up a lot of time to work, and not a lot of money was coming in. So eventually I was under too much debt, and I had to move out. I couldn't pay the rent, and it was too much work to work on a comic book full time without any revenue. It was kind of a pipe dream. I've always been a bit of a dreamer, and I still am to a certain point, but I couldn't make it work. So I had to kind of switch things up. And eventually I went back to school and went to study on more computer related stuff. And eventually, took a job as a web developer further down the line because that's much more regular income. It's easy to find work. And it's kind of the opposite. You almost do very little work and you get paid a big salary. Whereas comics, you could work all day long until exhaustions and have
tendinitis,
barely have anything to eat at the end of the day.
Yeah.
So now I found myself like working very little. Well, I'm working full time, but for the time I'm working, like I still working in decent hours. I can go home after work is done and then relax in the evening, which I couldn't do when I was working on the comic book. And then I'd have money left over. Like I'd make it enough to pay the bills and the rent and have money left over. And so, but I wasn't making comics. So it was a little bit depressing because when you have that in your heart as a passion, you can't, it took me a long time to give up on that project because I didn't want to give up on it easily. And eventually it was eating up at me so much. I was like, okay, I need to step back because I can't make this work. The way things are set up, I can't make it work. And I need to regroup and figure something out. And so I put comics aside for the longest time, it seems like.
How many years would you say that you put that aside?
I mean, at least 10 years.
Wow, okay.
Because I was still working on it in 2007. And I think I had to let it go in 2008-9. And then in 2014, I started building my own website. So I was, I had gone to school, learned how to do computer networking, setting up servers, routers, mail servers, and, just basic programs that you find in an enterprise kind of a thing. But that wasn't really a passion of mine. So I was back to even like working in computers. I was like, let me see if I can like put a drawing up on the screen. And can I put I figured, can I do a character creator? Like, can I, instead of like drawing by hand, which takes a lot of time, can I create something that will have like all the options of like clothing and things like that? And then I could change the colors mathematically on the computer and just have the different drawings set up. So I made a character creator, right? I just like, okay, if I could put an image over another and change it and hide it and show it with a menu, I know I can do a complex character creator down the line. So I'm a little bit zealous. I didn't even know how to program JavaScript back in the day, but I was like, okay, I want to make this, so let me learn how to program JavaScript. I made my own website, did it the worst possible way to start with. And then got a couple of friends to help me with the stuff I couldn't figure out. And eventually I got it up and running. And I used that to get a job as a web developer. I thought it was going to be as a graphic artist, but they hired me as a web developer unbeknownst to me. Like I was there day one thinking I was working as a graphic designer. They're like, oh, you could program. Oh, I'm a programmer? Okay. Because I didn't think I was a good programmer because I had just learned, but I was able to learn from scratch. So I guess that was of some use. And this character creator thing actually took off. Like a few years later, at the peak, I got like 400,000 views per month, which is good.
Yeah.
You can put ads on there. And so a couple of years ago, I was able to start my comic book with the rent being paid by the character creator. Now it's gone down in views. Ads are not so good today. But, combine that with Bitcoin and a couple of other things, I'm in a better position than I was back in 2007. And that kind of gave me a foothold to have revenue, passive revenue that I could pay the rent with while I was getting started on a comic book project. And also, I eventually got fired from my job as a web developer because the company had it's a silly story, but I don't think we have time to get into that. But company had some financial problems and they had to lay off a bunch of people, and I was amongst those.
Mm.
And they laid me off, but I had like about a year's worth of unemployment. And one of my friends was like kind of pushing me to get some Bitcoin. And I heard about Bitcoin a while back. Like one of my friends had gotten some for when it was worth $300 a Bitcoin. And I was like, and he was nagging at me, come on, just buy $100 worth, check it out. It's worth it. And I bought $100 worth just to shut him up. I was like, all right, I'll buy some. I'm on unemployment, so I don't have a whole lot of revenue, but okay, so I got some. It was worth $1,000 at the time. Now it's worth $120,000 today. And so I got a little bit, and then I got curious. And the same with the programming. I sort of figured, okay, let me learn about this. So I bought a book, Mastering Bitcoin, and I started reading through the book. And, I understood maybe 60% of it. I understood the basics of cryptography, even though I'm not a cryptographer. I kind of get the basics of it. And I sort of understood, okay, this is decentralized, kind of like the same way torrents are, like the same way people do file sharing. These people are sending money through a decentralized system. So I started figuring out how this worked, and I was like, oh, this actually makes a lot of sense. So I got into it more and more, and then I started buying more and more and learning more and more, and sort of got into the space. Learned to listen to podcasts, listen to people who were in the space for a long time, and just started eating it up and wanting to learn everything I could
Now,
about it.
would you say that you're well versed in Bitcoin, or like if I throw some questions at
Oh
you,
yeah,
because I have no idea.
yeah,
And I
I'm
think, like many people, I'm aware of the word. I'm aware of cryptocurrency. I'm aware of all that kind of stuff. But past that, it's just I don't know what the hell it is.
yeah, understandable. And like the first thing people think of when they come in contact with it, and I was the same way. Like, okay, it's got to be a scam, right? Like people making money, and it's growing faster than any other investment out there. Like faster than the stock market, faster than Apple, faster than Google. This thing is like a runaway train. So there's got to be a scam somewhere, right? I mean, that's the first question.
Yeah, because it seems weird because it's a currency, but it's not backed in anything, right? Not like the dollar is backed in anything anymore. It used to be gold and silver, and now it's just a fiat currency. Everyone agrees this is what it's worth, and that's a path that leads to very bad places.
Yep.
But
exactly.
Is Bitcoin backed by anything?
Nope, not at all. So Bitcoin was made to simulate gold. So the creator, we don't know who he is. He went by the name Satoshi Nakamoto. That's a pseudonym. So we have no idea who he is. He remains anonymous to this day. So he was in the project for the first 2 years.
So that could be like Bill Gates.
It could. I mean, Bill Gates didn't like Bitcoin. He got gifted some and thought it was ridiculous, got rid of it.
That's exactly what the dude who invented it would say.
Well, that's the thing. It's like when you get accused of something like that, it's like calling people a Fed. Like if you deny it, that's exactly what a Fed would do, is deny it as a Fed. And if you're good at denying you're a Fed, well, you're just a very good Fed. So there's no way you can get around those types of accusations.
Yeah.
Now, I don't think it was NSA. A lot of people think, okay, well, he's got the best cryptographers. Maybe he's one of them.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you why. It's because one of the randomization libraries that he used was just a very niche, unpopular library to get random numbers, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's very rarely used. And people were wondering, why did he not use like the common stuff other developers use? Turns out it's one of the rare libraries that has no backdoor in it. So the guy was very well aware of the possibility of people getting backdoors and security holes and things like that. And he was very careful to make this software impenetrable in the way. So Bitcoin's been attacked since day one. They call it anti-fragile. So every attack that Bitcoin gets, like it gets beat up, it gets a black eye, and then it comes back, and then you can't beat it that way anymore. Like it solved that problem. It's grown, and you have to find a new vector of attack. And it's just been growing every year, every cycle. And it takes a beating. People say Bitcoin is dead. It goes back. You forget about it for a couple of years. And then you hear it in the news. Oh, well, it's made new highs all of a sudden. It's made all-time highs again. Again? I thought it was dead. Well, it's been 16 years now, and it's still not dead. And it's still growing, and it's still making all-time highs. So it's obviously not a quick get-rich scam, because it would have been gone a long time ago. Other people make scams, cryptocurrency scams, all the time, like Haktua coin. Stay away from those. Those are all scams. Those are people who make something that's just ready to dump on you day one, and then you never hear about it again. Bitcoin, however, was abandoned in the hands of the community. It's decentralized in a real sense, not just as a buzzword. So what does that mean? It means a lot of people have a copy of the software in their home on the computer. And in every city, in every state, in every country across the world. So you cannot take down this software unless you take down the internet in every country for all time.
Is there an infinite amount of Bitcoin, or is it a finite amount?
There's a finite amount. So 21 million is the max that there will ever be. And we've mined about 98% of it right now. So we're going to mine the last 2% of it from here to the year 2140.
What does mining mean?
So
when you mine for Bitcoin, I've
right.
heard that.
Yeah, exactly. So what does mining mean? So Bitcoin works like a ledger, right? So same as the bank. The bank has a ledger of all your transactions. Say I sent, $10 to you. I want to buy a comic. So I'm sending you to your address $10 worth of Bitcoin. I have your address. I sent it to you. So I sent that that transaction out into something that's called the mempool. Basically, that means it's just a pool of transactions that are waiting to be brought into the blockchain, brought to the official ledger. So miners, what they do is they compete to create the next block. Everyone wants to create the next block because when you create a block, you get a reward. That reward is what's called mining, in other words. So, in other words, how do you get the next block? Well, you have to be the first one to solve a complicated computer problem. So they use highly sophisticated, like cryptography software, to compete to be the first one to solve like a kind of a made-up problem, if you will. So everyone's competing at the same time. They take these transactions. My transaction to you is in there, and they create a ledger page, if you will, to use the metaphor. And one of them is going to be the first one to win. Their block gets accepted. My transaction's in there. So they get a block reward. The first 40 years, the block reward was 50 Bitcoin. Back then, Bitcoin was worth nothing. So you got 50. It's like getting a high score in Pac-Man, right? Okay, you got a number, but it's not worth anything. But with time, it was worth more and more eventually. So the person whose computer got the block reward gets the Bitcoin, gets the 50 Bitcoin for that 10 minutes. Every 10 minutes, there's a new block. So a new page gets added in the ledger every 10 minutes. That's how it was set up to work. So that's how it works for 4 years or 210,000 blocks. And then after 4 years, the block reward gets cut in half. So instead of getting 50 every blocks, you get 25 every blocks because it gets rarer, right? Like gold. The more you dig for gold, the less gold there is. So you'll get less and less gold the more time comes, the more you're digging. So after 4 years, it's 12.5. After 4 years, it's 6.25. And after 4 years, the period we're in now, which is the fifth epoch, we're at 3.125 Bitcoin. So one person who gets the block reward, so the person who mines a block today in the next 10 minutes is going to get 3.125 Bitcoin or $360,000 worth of Bitcoin.
Man, I'm going to nod my head so it looks like I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, I know it's not an easy thing to get into. I try to avoid technical issues, but
yeah,
it's hard to explain what's really happening without explaining what's really happening.
I think what it boils down to is I'm just far too much of a distrusting person to want to acknowledge any of what you just said.
Well, yeah.
So it turns into like this is all I can think when you say this. My mind goes into, okay, this is something set up by some clandestine group, perhaps the Illuminati, perhaps the Nigerian prince who used to send me emails.
You're not answering his emails anymore.
And now he's like, I got to come up with a better marketing plan. I'm going to change my name to some Japanese dude because they probably trust them because they're so knowledgeable.
Instead of being Nigerian, I'll be Japanese this month.
Yeah, and then so it's just this Nigerian prince that's been wanting to give millions upon millions of dollars away over the years.
Yeah.
And none of us have answered the call. Has decided to come up with this thing called Bitcoin in conjunction with the NSA, the CIA, and some kind of Illuminati clandestine group.
Yeah.
And so now they are looking for the best and the brightest in the terms of hacking to come and get to their Bitcoin problems that they solve and go, okay, keep your eye on these individuals. We're going to kind of reward them just like how, like when you go and play the slot machine, you don't really win a lot of the times, but you win just enough to keep you there. So it's like they
Yeah.
put in a shit ton of work and did God knows what to do this and figure this out. Give them something for their time. They'll keep doing it. They'll keep spreading the word, and we'll keep discovering the best and brightest without having to bend over backwards about it.
Yeah.
And kind of like the same way that they'll say, send in your DNA, the most valuable thing in the world, and we'll let you know some of your stupid relatives that we already probably
No, that's
told you about.
terrible deal.
So yeah, it's just the same way. And they go, oh, yeah, okay, great. How much can I pay for you to steal my DNA? And they say, it's just like $100. And you go, this is fantastic. And a lot of people do that, and that's fine. Whatever. I don't trust that either.
Yeah.
So it reminds me of that, of like, here is this whole thing that we've set up.
Yeah,
And then you get
100%.
into it, and
100%.
then we can have like this great transfer of wealth of a lot of people that put their money into a Bitcoin. And then if it like tanks, kind of the way that they set up like the Great Depression, where a bunch of people pulled out and the thing just dropped like a rock. And then they bought back, like they bought tons of businesses, became majority shareholders for pennies on the dollar. And then it went up again. And then they pulled that out again just before. And then they profited off of that. And then, so the same way that a lot of that stuff works, the stock market kind of is the same sort of game where you just kind of pump and dump and do all the other stuff that you do. And it's like a whole system of, so it goes all over my head because I can't get my mind to just stop thinking it's a big conspiracy.
And that's the rational way to go about it. And
is it? Thank you for saying it's
no,
rational. I appreciate
that's
that.
That's the first thing I thought about. Are you kidding? That's what everybody thinks about it the first time. A lot of people kick themselves because they haven't looked into it further. So when my friend was like bothering me to buy some to get started, that's why I went out and bought the book to figure out. So I had enough understanding of computer software, cryptography to understand the way it was set up, to see, okay, this is not controlled by one dude. This is actually a free, something that's free and in the wild that anybody can join. It's not without risk. I mean, you're not wrong. Like, price does go up and then it does go down.
Yeah, it was like what, like 13,000 or something a couple of years ago.
Yeah, I mean,
And then
last year it
went
was at
up.
40,000 at one point.
Yeah.
And, now it's 3 times that.
And is that from people selling it off, and then the price devalues, and then when people keep buying it and buying it, then the price keeps going up?
Exactly right. So it crashed during the 2020s because China made it illegal. So all the Chinese miners had to sell their equipment, and it crashed. So the price went down. And so, what the thing is, people who've been in this space for a long time, the way they think about it is like, oh, I got some cheap Bitcoin now. Let me grab as much as I can. And and then it slowly goes back up again because people accumulate. It's got what they call holders of last resort. There's enough people who believe in it now that they don't let it go past a certain point because they're all buying it up and want to accumulate it, because to them it's digital gold, right? A lot of people see this the same way that people saw the internet in 1995. Hardly anybody had access to the internet back then. You had to have like one of the rare geeks to have access to it. And most people, including the media, were saying, we don't need the internet. I got a fax machine and it's working. My fax machine is working fine. Like, why would I switch for this internet thing? It costs way more to buy a computer, and all I get is just text that I can fax from my friends anyway, regardless, right?
Yeah.
So that's kind of where we're at with this at the moment. Most people don't understand how it works. They haven't experimented yet. But when you get into the space, when you see like conferences, meetups, and people start using it, getting into it, especially people who've been in it for what I call a cycle is 4 years, right? So when you've been in it for a couple of cycles, everyone is better off financially, because you will get a crash every 4 year, but you crash higher and higher every 4 year. So despite having it volatility, if you buy a little bit and you hold on to it, your situation gets better and better. And so you see your friends getting better and better. And you see everybody in the space getting better and better off as well. So you know that this is something good for people, and you want to, encourage your friends to get into it. but it's hard to communicate it to people because they're got the skepticism. Like, I don't want your Nigerian scam, and you sound like a cult follower who's just too enamored with this space. And so I'm like, okay, well, it's fine. Take your time. I'm just telling you, hey, man, it's probably worth your time looking into it at least a little bit. And at one point, I'm like, okay, I'm going to stop trying to convince people, and I'm just going to make a comic book that it's in the story. Because, doesn't it sound like a comic book? Like this anonymous person.
Oh, yeah, totally.
Like anonymous person creates money that's a threat to the banks and that's making independent, people rich.
To get to that for a second, do you have any idea as to why? Because this is basically like a global currency, more or less, at least in the countries that haven't banned it.
It's the currency of the internet.
And there's no like the other day I had to send money to someone in Australia, and there's a difference. There's an exchange.
Yeah.
But with Bitcoin, there wouldn't be. Now, is there any reason you think why the countries of the world, the powers that be, have allowed this to exist? Because it feels like it can't be that difficult for someone out there to find who this is, or how to take hold or control of it. So someone or someone's, they're allowing this to exist, and maybe they created it. Maybe they're sitting back and going, let's see what happens. It's like a social experiment.
Well, they tried to stop it at first. Like,
do you have any thoughts as to how this has been able to go on the way it has? If we take it at face value that this truly is like this decentralized currency that isn't being controlled and approved of by any governing body.
Right. So, I mean, like, I think in 2012, one of the early Bitcoin evangelists went to the Canadian government to explain what it was. Like, the government didn't know what it was. It was something new back then. It had only been around for 3 years. And he was, an expert in the space because he was talking about it across the world. And they were like, we'd like you to come and explain what this Bitcoin thing is. And he explained it to all the ministers. And all the ministers thought, okay, this is interesting. Like, I can just buy it. And a lot of them wanted to buy it from him after the presentation. Everyone liked it except for one, the Minister of Finance. He hated it. He thought it was a terrible idea and he wanted to quash it. So it's something that's beneficial for most people. It benefits everyone except the banks, because the banks are scamming us, Lo. So this is...
And I got my own problem with them.
Oh, me too. Me too. I mean, one of the best things that happened to me was the banks froze my account years ago, and they had completely frozen my account, and that was terrible at the time. But in retrospect, it kind of was one of the things that attracted me to Bitcoin. I was like, oh, this is something that I can keep and no one can close it. Like the government,
you're putting your money in under the virtual mattress.
Exactly, right? The government can't make a phone call and get it stopped or seize it. So I was like, okay, this is actually something that's secure. I can trust it. If I hold my key, my cryptographic key, I know that no one's going to be able to interfere with it. And so they have tried to stop it. I mean, before they were against it. I mean, the Liberal government in Canada does not want this to happen. We had the trucker protest a couple of years ago during the lockdowns, and people donated through GiveSendGo and other crowdfunding sites. None of that money made its way. It was all seized at the banks. The only money that made its way to the truckers was the Bitcoin. A man by the name of Caribou, well, that's his code name, went to each trucker, gave him an envelope with a key in it, and each of them had their share of Bitcoin. That was the only funds that made its way because the government seized everything else. So most governments are trying to stop it. The Biden government was doing everything it could to stop it as well. They could not stop it. That's the thing about it. It's meant to work when it's legal and when it's illegal. Now, the thing that's different is Trump is embracing it. Like Trump last year in Nashville announced that he wanted to do a strategic Bitcoin reserve for the country. And now a lot of states, most states, have a bill in progress to each of them individually get their own strategic Bitcoin reserve as well. kind of like they used to have a gold reserve at Fort Knox, allegedly, which we can't verify. No one can go in and check the gold for some reason. And we have countries like El Salvador who turned it into its national currency. On top of the US dollar, they now added Bitcoin as their official currency as well. And they've been prospering and thriving ever since. So it changes people for the better. You could see it in action. So it's normal to doubt. I would just tell people it's good you're doubting. It means you have a brain. But just don't think that your doubt is a conclusion. Keep your doubt open and go and verify.
I mean, I would really like to think there's a part of me that just can't accept it. But I would really like to think that the governments have really tried to just completely shut this down. And this isn't like a show. It's not performative.
Yeah.
And that they legitimately have tried and that they just can't seem to do it. And it is truly decentralized and will forever be that way. Even if the government has this strategic reserve or whatever, they're not in control. They're just participating in the same capacity that you or I could participate and have our own strategic reserve of this thing.
Yeah.
But there's still just, it sucks. There's this part of me that's just like, no, that just feels.
Well, it's normal. It's normal, you know. You gotta.
Then I think it's like, it's and maybe a lot of us it's like this too. And God bless you for not being as jaded, I guess, as I am on this. But
well, I was in the beginning, like I saw. Like
we've just been lied to so much.
Oh yeah. 100%, dude. Well, the reason why I'm not jaded anymore about this is because I've been in this space since 2017. So that's what, like 8 years now. So I'm in a much better place financially than I was back then, dude. Before I lost my job at the
and I see it too. I see that there's, because I've looked at like the Bitcoin stuff. I owned a little bit. I owned like $5 of Bitcoin at one point. I made like $1 on it, and I was like, I'm out. I can't do this. It's too stressful. I'm not a good person with any of that, right? I'm not the person who's gonna hold whatever.
So your life benefited from Bitcoin.
Yeah. I made $1 on Bitcoin, and but I saw it doing its thing or whatever. I had something when it was like around 60,000 or something.
Oh yeah,
that's when I had, and then it went to whatever, and then I was like, okay, let me just get out of this. This is too crazy. So I see that it does that, but my mind, and it's the same thing with the friggin' stock market, man. Like I go in there, I had Netflix when it was at $12.
Yeah,
$12. I had like 20 shares of Netflix.
What I would say,
it went to 16. I sold it. I was like, woohoo!
Yeah. So what you need to take into account is don't go into Bitcoin for the financial gains, right? Even though there is immense financial gains, I'm not going to lie. People with the real interesting thing about Bitcoin is the financial freedom to be outside the banking system, to be outside the fiat system, because your dollars are getting printed away every time Congress meets to get rid of the debt ceiling. Every time you double the debt, that means your dollars that you currently have are worth half. So whatever you're gaining every hour at a job is actually half the value, even though the number hasn't changed.
Yeah.
You're not going to be able to buy the same stuff you could.
Our purchasing power has gone down like 90-something% over 100 years.
Well, especially since 1971 when Nixon got off the gold standard.
Oh, yeah.
So the real interesting aspect of Bitcoin is to be able to send money instantly cross-border with no intermediary, to be part of a financial system that has a cap. There will never be more than 21 million. So whatever percent of 21 million that you get will never get diluted. That's the real interesting aspect to it. It's not, okay, am I going to be, because sometimes you get into it and then the financial investment that you got goes underneath what you had invested. And you're like, okay, this is now worth less than what I put into it because we're in a downturn right now. So what Bitcoiners do, they're like, okay, well, let me buy some more, dollar cost average, and then wait for the tide to go up again. But you have to understand, okay, this has added benefit other than just the financial gains. This is some money that I can spend instantly. And for example, like when somebody buys a comic from me, Fund My Comic, they pay with credit card. Credit card is going to be solved like in a month or two. Is going to be resolved. Now, Fund My Comic sends me the funds like within a couple of weeks, even like on a weekly basis. I think I'm new to this, so I'm just getting my first payments now. When somebody buys my comic with Bitcoin, I get the Bitcoin instantly. It goes through the crowdfunding, they take their percentage, and it goes straight into my wallet like in a second. And I can spend that same amount within the second. So I have instant cash. So people kind of think that cash equates to paper, but cash is actually money that you can exchange between people directly without an intermediary. Now, Bitcoin is digital cash in the sense that, yes, it's digital. Yes, it's a number on a machine, but this number can be transacted between two individuals without a third party. That's the miracle. That's the financial discovery that Satoshi Nakamoto made. And there's actually a name for it. It's called the Byzantine generals problem. So for the geeks that want to look it up, it was an old problem in messaging and cryptography that was solved by Satoshi and that made Bitcoin possible. Because there was a lot of attempts at cryptocurrency before, but they all depended on a central server. And that would never work because the government can go to that central server and say, now we own this and you're going to do what we say.
Yeah.
Satoshi said, okay, I found a way to do it without a central server. And let's get everybody like a hologram. Everyone has a copy of it. And they're all talking to each other. And the cat's out of the bag. Government can't stop it. It's too late already because the thing went out when it was worthless. Computer geeks and cryptography geeks saw the value of the system before there was value in the money. So people thought, okay, this is actually, if this takes off, this could change the world. So that's why the geeks in the beginning were like, okay, let's make this happen. And people were working on it before it was actually any financial investment. And that's why most of the Bitcoin was spread out around those early geeks. And there's less and less now, just like gold mining.
That's pretty crazy. I mean, all I could think is if they're doing that, if they're doing what they're doing on the level that you say that they're doing it on, you had to have people with. I'm trying to figure out who the hell this guy is, the Satoshi guy. If it's just one person,
everyone.
And I'm like, you have to have someone who has incredible know-how.
Yes,
technologically, but is also connected well enough to have this network. And it might not just be. I don't think it's one person.
No. He wasn't connected to. So he wasn't connected to any network. He was part of the cypherpunk mailing list. So this all started in a mailing list of cypherpunks. So,
but for this to,
which is a subset of hackers, by the way,
for this to essentially go organically viral, it just seems like an impossibly slim chance of that.
Yeah, it could have failed.
So it feels like it was put in the hands of like a group of people who are like swearing to secrecy, to whatever extreme.
No, because he didn't share any secrets. He just shared the code. He never told anybody who his identity was. And he kept his identity secret because he was part of the cypherpunks. He was part of the people fighting for online privacy, right? So he was like super aware that he shouldn't
I can't. Yeah, I know it's like it's supposed to allegedly be one person, but it's also like, how would anyone know other than the fact that this one person is who they say they are, right?
It could theoretically be more, but I think it's too hard to keep a secret when you're more than one person. So
that is true. But I can't seem to wrap my head around how it went to where it went with it just being one person behind it. That's crazy. And if that is the case, that's incredible.
Yeah. I mean, Torrent was created he wasn't just one person in the sense that he solved one aspect of the issue. He cites other people in his white paper. Like white paper is just when he's laid out how it works, because he was using the stuff that everybody before him did, right? So all the failed cryptocurrencies before him, he was reusing the best, smartest stuff that was out there. And then he figured out the last piece that made it all work together. So that's kind of his implication of it. Yeah.
That's incredible. So how does this fit into the comic you're creating? What comic is that again? What's the name of it?
So it's called Rattel.
And how'd you come up with that name?
So Rattel is French for honey badger. And honey badger is the mascot for Bitcoin, right? Because you know the honey badger meme?
No.
Oh, you don't know? Okay,
No.
It's a big meme online. So there's a person who took like a National Geographic videos of the honey badger, which is kind of a Wolverine in Africa type creature. And the honey badger is known to attack anything. Like it'll attack creatures that are bigger than it. It'll attack baby elephants. It'll attack lions. And this person made a meme like honey badger don't give a fuck, right? Honey badger don't care. And honey badgers will get bit by a cobra, take a nap, and then get up and continue on with its day. And people just thought that was the perfect metaphor for Bitcoin. So they're like, all right, well, that's going to be the mascot for Bitcoin, the honey badger. And so honey badger was already taken. A lot of superheroes were called that in the past, the badger, honey badger, this and that. And I figured I'd use the French version of the name because that wasn't as common. And since I'm from Quebec, I'm setting the story in Montreal. Montreal is kind of half French, half English. And so I figured Rattel has a nice ring to it. And it refers to everything that makes sense of what's behind the character. He's kind of fearless. He'll attack bigger enemies than him. And he might take a beating, but he'll get back up and he'll continue the fight. And it, refers to his French heritage as mine as well. So I thought, okay, this is fitting. Everything kind of works out. And he's kind of like the anonymous hacker of Bruce Wayne equivalent, right? So Bruce Wayne has a corporation, and Bruce Wayne is not anonymous, of course, because he's the heir of the company that his father started. But Rattel has he has Bitcoin that he was mining at home, and he accumulated, but he's sent to prison because he was poking around the bank's computer systems, which he shouldn't have done, and he got caught. But he gets thrown in jail for like 10 years. But while he's in there, he's beefing up his muscles. He's learning the tricks of the criminals, and then when he gets out, his Bitcoin has accumulated incredible value, and so he's as rich as Batman, but he's a DIY kind of guy. So now he's building all these gadgets and weapons that he's dreamt up while he was in prison. And he sets off on his maiden flight to become a vigilante because he's lost faith in fixing the system through the system. So he's going to go at it kind of like Batman. He's going to take matters into his own hands. And so he builds a suit. He builds a drone because he was seeing contraband being dropped into the prison through drones here. Oh, hey, crazy cat. Nice to see you. And so he saw drones dropping contraband in the prison yard. And he was like, if only I could build one big enough to fly out of there, I could just fly off on a drone, right? And obviously he couldn't build one while on the inside. But when he gets out, he kind of realizes his dream. He makes it happen by ordering parts online. And he's grown fearless, as you learn through the story. And that's kind of like his origin story.
Wow, man. That does sound like something plausible.
Yeah.
For nowadays, considering
it is. I see it like a science fiction story that's possible in the present, right? Because William Gibson said famously that the future is already here. It's just not evenly distributed yet, right? Not everyone is living in the future, but a handful of people are, because futuristic things exist. Like there's videos of people riding quadcopters, like a skateboard. It's out there. You got to be crazy to do it, but there are people crazy enough to do it. Bitcoin exists. It's a thing. I mean, you might have your opinion on it, but it's out there. It's working. It's TikTok next block every 10 minutes.
Yeah.
So that's part of the story as well. You don't have to believe in Bitcoin to read the comic. I mean, not at all. But you will get into his headspace. You will see how he thinks, and you'll learn a little bit through osmosis, right? It's not an educational book, but just like Batman's not about corporations, but you'll pick up a few things, you know.
And how many issues do you have planned in the series?
So I'm planning on a first arc of 4 issues. So that's going to have like a nice complete story that I can tell and have something that I can publish as a 4 issues. I'm publishing them 1, 2, and 3, and 4 individually to get it financed and out there in a decent time fashion. But like I'm picturing a 4-issue arc to start, and then I'll leave the door open. And if people are into it and want more, then I'll continue and pursue the story further.
And can you let me see? Can you share your screen? Can you bring up your campaign, and then can you also put in the private chat the link, and then I can put it in the chat for everybody to check it out?
Yep, right there. Okay.
Because I did not do my due diligence. I was not aware that you had a campaign. Otherwise, I would have put it in the show's description.
Right. Well, we're kind of like set up this conversation to talk about anything other than comics, which we did.
Yeah.
But this is a nice lead up to it. I started the campaign 2 weeks ago on Comicsgate Commandos, which is a show that I co-host on. And with the help of Katie did. Thank you, Katie. She was simulcasting it, which gave us a good head start.
Nice.
We've got $1,000 here on Fund My Comic, and I've got like $600 worth of Bitcoin on another crowdfund site in parallel.
So what site are you using to crowdfund through Bitcoin?
So it's called geyser.fund. So mostly you won't find any other comic on there. It's just Bitcoin projects. So, people who want educational things about Bitcoin, other types of books on Bitcoin, nonfiction, stuff like that. And I'm the first comic book project that I know of on there. So the guys were excited to have me on there because it's the first of its kind. We're kind of adding culture to the Bitcoin space, which is just slowly building,
Do you have a link to share with that too that you can put in the private chat?
Of course. Let me just pull it up.
Just in case there's anybody out there that wants to go that route.
Yeah, and you don't have to spend Bitcoin for that. You can use your credit card to send me Bitcoin. So you could pay in dollars and I will receive Bitcoin. So that also works like that. Let me scroll down a little bit here. So we've got 40 backers to date. And I've got a digital version. I've got it's a 24 page for the first issue. And I've got like 3 different covers, cover A, B, and C. And also, as you can see here, and I also have like a collector's pack for all 3 covers. A lot of people like to have the collector's edition. And I'm selling some original art as well. And here's a sample of the pages. So I'm not coloring them. I found someone who's better at me than at coloring, who makes my work look much better than if I could do the coloring myself.
I gotta say, Frederick, only because I wouldn't be true to you or to me if I didn't say this. I am kind of disappointed that he doesn't look like a honey badger.
Well, he does look like a honey badger. What are you talking
Does he?
about? Yeah. Look, he's got the same stripe. Honey badgers have a white stripe on their back from their head to their back.
Oh, he does?
He does. And he's got the honey badger face on his chest. And even his quadcopter has the head of honey badger.
Okay, I'll let you go with that.
I mean, he doesn't have like Batman doesn't look like a bat. He's just got the ears. I might add ears. People have been asking me to add the ears again. If I scroll down here, I'll show you a picture where he's got.
And I know you don't want him to look like Mike Barron's badger.
No,
I'm not saying that.
See, I had like little folds here on the mask, which kind of looked like ears, which people have been asking me to bring back. And luckily, in the first issue, his mask gets all torn. So he's going to need to do a new mask. So it's an opportunity to add the ears back in, which,
yeah,
people have been asking for that. So I'll do that. So yeah, I did incorporate elements of a badger in there.
Okay.
Might not be obvious on the first look. He's also got like
I
Rob
think it's maybe
Liefeld shoulder pads.
I think it's maybe it's the coloring that was making me thrown off because they're not like blue and white.
No,
right?
they're black and white. So originally I thought of him as black with a white stripe. But in comics, having something go completely black is colorless. So I figured, okay, the closest thing to black is dark blue. So kind of like Batman is like got black suits, which sometimes it's highlighted in blue. Same with Spider-Man. I kind of colored him blue, and then people kind of remarked, "Oh, it's the same colors as the Quebec flag," and I was like, "Oh yeah, you're right." So I kind of left it like that because it's another nod to the whole ensemble of the character. So
Yeah.
it's not a literal badger, but you do see elements of his origin in multiple aspects, multiple ways. And see, you feel Montreal here because there's a poutine restaurant, right?
Yeah, that's great.
So you're gonna know you're in Montreal in the story, right? You're gonna feel very much where you're at.
And what is poutine for people who don't know?
So people who don't know, poutine is the best food for like when you're coming out of the bar at 3 a.m. or whenever you're done drinking at night. And it's just a mashup of potatoes, a special blend of cheese curds that are fresh from the day. You got to have your fresh cheese curds, Pete. That's the secret ingredient. And then you have hot gravy sauce on top of it, which melts the cheese into the fries, and your fries are soggy, your cheese is melted. So you're grabbing your fries and you've got like, cheese melted in the, and then you can add sausages and you can add other ingredients, but that's the basic gist of it. And when you got the ingredients just right, it's like the perfect fast food for like 3 a.m.
Yeah, if there wasn't, if I wasn't in New England, if it wasn't in New Hampshire, I wouldn't really know what poutine is. So there might be people who are obviously are not in the Northeast or Canada or whatever. So just in case someone's like, "What the heck, poutine?" Because it I imagine would sound like I don't know what that is. What are they talking about? But yeah, it is a treat. I mean, it's how could you go wrong though? To be honest, right? You got cheese, you got mashed potatoes, you got gravy, you got French fries.
It's tasty, man, but you have to have the right cheese. That's because you can have bad poutine. Trust me.
Metatron's Cube wants to ask, how do you make and or access a digital wallet? Is there a better way than Coinbase?
Yeah, so Coinbase is not a digital wallet. It's an exchange. So it's like a place where you can buy your Bitcoin, but then you want to send it to a wallet that you control. So Wallet is a software you can download. Like there's Element is a wallet that you can download on your computer. You can download like Blue Wallet on your phone is a good one. So there's basically it's an application that you put on your phone. And this application was going to give you your cryptographic key that you control. And the key is in the form of like 12 words, 12 or 24 words. So if you lose your phone, if you lose your software, you can take those 12 words and go to another phone, another software, and put those words back in, and you'll have access to your Bitcoin again because you're accessing the coin that's on everyone's computers. You're just, it's like, you remember how a king used to have a royal stamp that they could stamp orders and transactions? A Bitcoin key is kind of like the same thing. It's like it's your royal stamp that only you have that can give the authority to move your coins. So that's what a wallet is, what they call it. That's what it actually gives you. It's a cryptographic key that allows you to sign your transactions.
Terrific. Thank you, man.
My pleasure, man.
So with the rest of the comic, who's lettering it?
So I'm lettering it myself. So one of the things that I learned, as a web developer was like vector graphics. I got really good at that. And obviously I didn't want to make, beginner's mistakes. So I got a real good book on lettering and went through that and did my homework. But I'm lettering it in open source software called Inkscape. I know most people use Illustrator, but I'm a computer geek. I'm going to use the open source versions, of course. And you can see the lettered version on Geyser. So let me stop the sharing here and share it on Geyser. And
Okay.
I'll show you the lettering because I did share different source images on each site, and I'll give you an opportunity to see the Bitcoin version of it. So this is geyser.fund. So it's identical in every way except these are the covers. This is also the back cover. So here's you see a real badger.
Yeah, there you go.
And this one's not made by me. This is one of the most well-known and important Bitcoin artists. So I want to keep the back cover for the issues for other Bitcoin artists in the space. And so this is an artist known as Madex. Madex is a Canadian Bitcoin artist who's traveling the world and creating all sorts of paintings centered around Bitcoin. And he's using, technological ways to innovate with his paintings as well. So a lot of interesting, funky stuff that he's doing. And he was gracious enough to allow me to use his work as the back cover. So if you order the comic, that's what you're going to have in the back. Beautiful Madex, honey badger there.
Nice.
So here's an example of the lettering. I don't know if you can see it big enough on this. Oh, okay. See it a little bit.
All right. Yeah. And you said you're using Inkscape?
Yeah, Inkscape is vector graphics software, kind of like Illustrator, except it's geared to open source. So you don't have to pay rent on it every month, like Adobe products. And you don't have to have signed licenses that give access to AI to all your works that you're creating as well, So Adobe's doing some shady stuff as well. This is what the lettering looks like. And the first page, it's called Fix the Money, Fix the World. That's a Bitcoin slogan. And I used it as the title of the first issue there.
All right, yeah.
And I got the same stuff that you can get here with Bitcoin, except you have access to pins that you don't have access to on Fund My Comic. That's the only difference between the two. These are special pins made by someone in the Bitcoin space called BTC pins. So I figured it was something that I would reserve to the Bitcoin backers. But aside from that, the rest of is identical.
That's nice. I like the setup, the way the site looks. What is it, Geyser, you said?
Yeah, geyser.fund. It's relatively new, so there's some features that are not there yet. Like I cannot rearrange the order of things. It always goes from lowest cost to highest. So I can't choose which one is which.
Yeah, I mean, that's most crowdfunding sites. I think Fund My Comic is the only one where you can actually tailor it to however you want it.
Oh, I did also add the retail pack in the Bitcoin aspect, which I figured it's not something that people from Fund My Comic would be interested in, but I did get requests in the Bitcoin space for something like that. So I've added it here. You can get a 10-pack, much cheaper.
That's great, man. I don't want to put you on the spot, so I might just talk to you a bit after the show about your lettering.
Okay, that sounds good.
Yeah. But this looks like fun, man. The story sounds interesting in terms of the concept and the execution of it. That's a pretty good premise. And I do like the aspect of you got like that old school feel where here's this guy that can invent stuff and wants to fight crime.
Yeah.
Old
trope.
Yeah. I don't know. There's something about that I think comics are always superhero stuff, especially. It's always just like got that tinge of sci-fi running throughout it. And I like that aspect that you've got running through this. That makes it sound fun.
And it feels like sci-fi as well, because like all the time, remember how I was telling you there's a Bitcoin block every 10 minutes? So in Bitcoin time, because it's called the time chain, like in the corporations call it the blockchain, but the Satoshi called it the time chain. So all the time inside the comic book is denotated in Bitcoin time. So it's a real form of timekeeping, though it sounds completely sci-fi, right? It's the same as like when you're watching Star Trek and like Captain Picard says, Stardate 259.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
you'll have Bitcoin time in the book, but if you go on a special site, a time chain calendar, you can go enter the time, the Bitcoin time, and it'll give you the exact date and time to which it's referring to. So there's an actual timekeeping in Bitcoin within the book as well. So you're really thrown into a sci-fi space that takes place in the modern day. So that's very much the feel of it.
Very nice, man. Jeez. Boy, oh boy, this has been a very jam-packed, full of information episode. I've learned a lot, man. Thank you.
Awesome. Glad to hear.
But wow, is there anything that we left off that you wanted to get to that we didn't get around to getting to?
I mean, we covered a lot. Like, most people don't even want to breach this topic of Bitcoin. So kudos to you for asking questions and being curious about it, you know? So
Well, thank you for being able to answer those questions, whether or not I comprehended half of it. I think, like you, I understood about 60%.
Well, that's the thing is it's not an easy topic to understand. The only thing if I can ask people something is just to keep an open mind. Everyone thinks it's a scam in the beginning. I've been in the space for 8 years. I know, and I live it, so I know it's not a scam. But I'm not going to tell you, trust me, bro. Right? So I'm going to say, keep an open mind. Maybe stay curious and have a look at it. And there's maybe more to this that's worth looking into. Kind of like the internet in the 1990s. Your fax machine is great, but there's something around the corner that's going to change the world. You might want to get ahead of it a little bit. So that's all I would invite people to think about.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, thank you for allowing us to even have that question to ponder, man. One thing before we go, Crazy Cat wants to know, will he ever have a pet honey badger?
That's a good question, man. I've thought about it. There's going to be a honey badger in the comic if it's only in a metaphor at some point, but I would like to have something like that in there. I haven't worked it in the script yet, so it's not going to be in this issue, or probably not the next one either, but you never know. I'll keep that in mind.
And I don't know if you had mentioned it already. If you did, apologies to me, as I was probably thinking about all the Bitcoin stuff. But is there like a rival, like an arch nemesis, a
Yes.
big bad, and what's
Yes.
their name and their story?
So the big bad is, would you believe it? His name is Bankman.
All right.
So it's kind of overly simple and very comic booky. But when like Sam Bankman-Fried got arrested, I was like, Bankman? That sounds like a superhero villain name. And so I was like, I'm going to grab that and run with it. I just thought it was so on the nose.
Yeah.
I could not pass it up. And so he's the big evildoer that it's kind of like channeling all the bad things about the system and the way it's rigged. Obviously, we can't talk about extensively everything that's wrong with the world, but having one big baddie to kind of channel that and be the emblematic figurehead for it is the way it works. And then obviously he has access to a lot of funds, and he basically hires henchmen to do his dirty work. So Rattel will be fighting the henchmen of Bankman and trying to work his way up there to see if he can confront the big baddie at the end.
All right, very nice. That's great, man. That's pretty good. That's pretty good. I like that. All right. Thank you so much, Frederick. And before we say goodbye, where can they find you? Where do you want them to go?
You could go on Twitter. I'm at Character Creator, minus the last vowels of each word. Frédéric Guimont, you'll find me on Twitter. I also have a YouTube channel, Frédéric Guimont, and I do a show on Tuesdays called Proof of Comics. And you can find more about Rattel on rattelcomic.com and on Fund My Comic. I'm easy to find, and geyser.fund. You can all find me at all those places.
Fantastic. And thank you guys so much in the chat for being here tonight. This was the conversation that I thought it would be and more.
Nice.
And That's courtesy of Frederick. Man, you did great. Seriously, this was awesome. I was just sitting there like, thank God this dude is well versed and can talk,
Well, dude,
because
like I'm very much into this space. I'm living this, breathing it. I was in Nashville last year when Trump announced the strategic Bitcoin reserve. I went to El Salvador, where they adopted Bitcoin, to expo some of the pages of the comic and promote the comic down there. So, I'm living and breathing it. And so I'm hoping to live by example and give people an example of it. And hopefully that'll, pique their interest and they'll get curious and maybe check out the comic.
very nice. Yeah. Yeah. No, you mentioned a lot of stuff that I think is easy to absorb, and you mentioned a lot of stuff that I think my brain is going to have to work in the background
Yeah.
to kind of, get that absorbed properly.
It's an acquired taste.
Yeah. Yeah. But thank you for imparting your knowledge and your experience, because it's something that, like you said, a lot of people don't really talk about this kind of thing. I think a lot of people are curious about it. And I think a lot of people, even though, I mean, you obviously had a lot of great knowledge and answers for some of my questions, but you're not the person who is behind all of it. So you're
Oh,
only going to
maybe I
be able,
am. How do you
or
know?
maybe you are, you never know.
It was an all plan
But
to sell comics in the end, Peter.
it's a hell of I've seen a lot of weird paths to sell comics in this world. That might be one of the strangest then. I created Bitcoin to try to sell my comic book.
Hey, I mean, comics is where it's at. That's all I'm gonna say.
It's so indicative though of just life in general. People are always like, "Oh, did you plan to do this? Did you plan to do that?" It's like you don't really go out and plan to be like, yeah, in 10, 20 years from now, this is exactly where I thought I'd be, doing what I'm doing, saying what I'm saying, thinking what I'm thinking. I don't think there's anyone alive who is like, yeah, that's to the exacting degree of where I would be. It's more like you just try your best with this, you try your best with that. Okay, this kind of worked, this kind of didn't. And if you're smart enough, you go more with what works and less of what doesn't. But
Mhm.
no one sits there and tries to go, yeah, this is exactly, I'm 20 years ago, did you think, yeah, this is exactly what I'd be doing right
Well,
now?
I've always wanted to make comics, so I'm doing what I always wanted to do. I just had no idea it would be such a, such
Yeah, how
a
you get there,
such
it's
a swirly path to it. But like, if I was gonna write a comic book in my 20s, I would have nothing to say. I would talk about what I read in books or seen in movies, and it would just be a rehash. Now, in my I'm 49, I'm almost gonna be 50, but I have something to tell now. I've met a lot of colorful people. I've been to strange places and seen things, and I have stories to tell.
there you go. I'm glad you're telling them. Well, thank you so much for coming on the show and telling some of those stories tonight. And
Thanks for having me.
no problem, man. And stick around for a little bit. I want to talk to you for a second about the comic.
Will do.
All right, everybody. Thank you guys so much again for being here. Your questions, your comments, always appreciated. If you like the show, give it a thumbs up. If you didn't like it, give it a thumbs down, as one or two of you likes to do every single show I do. Hey, I appreciate it. Thank you for hate watching. But you can go to alternativecomics.com, pick up some great stuff. We got the remastered Wave 3 currently in pre-order right now. Only about 2 weeks left to get yours. That closes out October 15th. And right now, I'm finishing up this week sketch commissions, Alternaween shipments, and now that the Hall of Fame books have arrived, I'm going to be shipping those out. Right now, Remastered Wave 2 is currently at the printer. I should get those in about 3 weeks or so, and then those are going to be shipping out. So thank you guys so much for your participation, your support, your readership, all that good stuff. And until next time, everybody, have a wonderful night and an even better tomorrow. We'll see you soon. All the best.